That's what I'm talking about. This is a terrible point, Felix.
I'm sorry, Darryl.
There's no communication. There's no hustle. There's nothing. There's just like people looking to make plays, like as if they're tired or something. Like, why?
Okay, so we've got one offensive player going deep, and a couple more here, and there's like an attempt to switch. So this player here is pointing, and this player here is marking this guy in the middle. So yeah, there's an attempt to switch here, but it's not picked up again. Let's just see how it unfolds.
Might he be communicating to the deep?
Yeah, he is, isn't he? He's communicating to the deep. He's also in the perfect position to
take Cole here, which he doesn't do, which is a shame.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's John Randolph again. I think he again is expecting his teammate to make the switch. And when it doesn't happen, he looks foolish.
It's one of the trouble with switches though. If you're caught halfway, then you end up doing neither job. So any hesitation or miscommunication, it can be fatal.
So yeah, this is just like, that's twice that John, I think, expected a switch, and he just needs to communicate him. I mean, I don't think what he's looking for is wrong at all, and I'm sure he plays on teams where they would just happen automatically. But you got to be deliberate when you you should always be deliberate, honestly.
I teach that when switching, you can actually communicate by moving your body. Yeah, if you actually just move and mark that person, you are telling the other mark that that's what you're doing.
I think that's good too. The DC Breeze did it a lot. 2019, we empowered our defenders to make the switch. Whenever, if you think that you're closer, you should just always do it.
I think something else that was going on there was that because he saw that defender the other side, then he'd slacked off on guarding the player cutting over there because he was like, oh, he's kind of covered over there. In their split-second decision type thing. And that reminds me of 6 versus 7 again, because if you add an extra defender to a team, it's like 50-50 whether it has a positive or negative effect on their performance, because they'll start to mark their players differently because, there's a poach over there, so I'll let my player kind of get free over there. But then that ends up very, very quickly working against them. And yeah, it's there's like chain reactions that happen. People then get stuck poaching, and then suddenly everybody's free, and it's like a dissolution of responsibility almost. So when you have that extra defender, either you've got to be like one team unit, or you just have to pretend you don't have an extra defender, pretty much. Another opportunity for a switch here.
Yep.
You can tell because the two defenders.
A massive one.
Yeah. Whenever you see two defenders running past each other like that, especially when they're being surrounded by the offense, then there's been inefficiencies.
Oh yeah.
I did notice that a couple of missed switches. There's some communication happening, and is this Randolph again?
Yeah.
It's like a bit of a false switch. Yeah, it's communication, isn't it?
It's just he's not saying anything. He's just doing all these things silently. None of them are wrong, in principle.
Yeah, it's kind of.
I think his anticipation is strong. He just isn't communicating any of his switches. So sometimes he's being let down. Actually, he's being let down every single time by his teammates because they're not doing what he expects, and it's mainly because he's just not informing them, and they don't have a culture of switching on that line. So
yeah, I think he's doing some pointing here, right? And so then yeah, that's point. But then he chooses flash poach in here, and I think
he might be going for that block. I think you're right.
Yeah, and if he does it, that's okay. But and there's two schools of thought. Like one, you flash poach in, and then you go back to your previous assignment. Or two, you flash poach in, but then if you're closer to that new defender, then the other person should go and find who you were on. And so I don't think this is necessarily Randolph's error here. I think he's watching the situation. He sees that's the option, and he's in a better position at this moment. So if this other defender had seen, John is there, and
John's on the poach, and then I think the other guy's Tim Schuck, if I had to guess.
So then if Tim could see here, John's actually got a way better position on this guy, then Tim should then be finding that new player. Something that I coach is to have as like a reaction, as like a trigger. There's a few triggers. If you're stood next to a teammate, right, then that's a trigger on offense and defense that you should be doing something more team based, right? On offense, you should not, should cover the space a little bit more efficiently, and on defense, you should cover the space more efficiently. So that's like a trigger. Another trigger is if you got two people marking one person. As soon as there's two people marking one person, you've got to have alarm bells because someone's free, and they're probably right near you. Randolph's man doesn't even get the disc. So is this Randolph's man over here? I think Randolph turns around and he's like, "Where's my guy?" And his guy's so far away that he thinks, "Is this my guy?" I'm not sure. Yeah. But like I said, I think Randolph isn't in the wrong here. I think that's a good move to do. But then I think Tim needs to pick up, and Randolph needs to stick with that player.
And then when Tim goes too far, Leandro should come over. I mean, he does earlier, or eventually, but I would love to see a little bit more pep in that step.
Pep in that step. Nice.
And look, I mean, what's disappointing is that like all that separation, like even though they held the disc on the sideline, they were still able to break the mark and take advantage of the separation from like our looseness. It's just, not the best point.
Here you go. There's another bit. It's a similar thing, I think. Is this 2023?
Walker Matthews. Yeah.
Okay, so he's reading the thrower here actually, and he probably knows that he's got a player on his shoulder. So then Matthews actually takes the step there to try and cover it. Now, this has happened, okay? And similar to Randolph, I think he's right to do this. So it's like a flash poach. It's an opportunistic move, being like, "Oh, I can break away from my mark here." But now once that's happened, then the whole defense needs to work as a team to then mark up in an intelligent way, right? Or not intelligent, in an efficient way, okay? And in this situation, when you've got these players moving like that, then there should basically be a switch. Yeah, so he's done a flash poach. His player has reacted awesomely by going directly away, but now this offense is moving towards him, so he should pick up this player, and this player should go and mark the one that's easier for him to mark.
Yeah.
Slow motion's great, isn't it? You can just.
Well, I think you found the point that is like.
He's like
got a lot of teaching moments, This is some rough defense. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, it's not even that bad. Like most of the time, you'd watch this point and it would just kind of like go past, and you'd be like, "Oh,
no, this is bad defense."
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, straight up at this level, the amount of separate, like, where have you seen a contested Canadian throw? Why does it take us 3 seconds to put a mark on? This is not a good defensive point in any stretch. I can't.
But is it a fault of the flash poachers? Like here again?
They're not talking. They're just like they're all trying to make a play.
Yeah.
Instead of like communicating and playing fundamental defense, like switching it is not. It's not that some of these switches you're talking about. Yeah, you can do them to make a play, or you can just do them because it's efficient, or you can do it to cover up for somebody. And like we're only like doing the ones that are like the playmaking kinds.
Yeah.
And those are tough because then they require communication afterwards, and you're not seeing that either. So I think this is a really, really poor point, honestly. I'm sorry to tell the TBSA players that they're watching me.
Right, here's something that's maybe good, maybe to like redemption. Is this Randolph?
No, that's just all Yannick.
Okay, so Yannick sees the cut, sees that he's got a good angle on it. And it is a nightmare for a thrower when you're like, okay, he's cut away from his mark, I'm going to throw. And they're like, oh, where'd that guy come from? So good move here to like shut it off. And then this other defender actually responds well. And I don't think they communicate. I think somehow they just magically silently do it. But then he actually then goes over here, which is a little risky, This is a high risk flash poach because he's leaving a player deep and he's leaving a player the other side of where the defender that he needs to switch with is. but it works. It doesn't get a D, but the switch happens, right? If you watch, boom, and then he sees, oh, okay, he's on him, and now he needs to be more urgent here. He's got to be like sprinting.
Yes.
And that's something that I noticed quite a lot as well.
That's what I'm talking about. This is a terrible point, Felix.
I'm sorry, Darryl.
There's no communication. There's no hustle. There's nothing. There's just like people looking to make plays, like as if they're tired or something. Like why? This is horrible.
Tired and hungry for the block.